for those who don't know you, those who will soon know you. Give us your name and what you do, what gift you give to the world.
Oh, awesome. My name is Michelle Antoinette Nelson, aka Love the Poet. For over 20 years, I have been a performance poet, spoken word artist, and I'm also the founder of Brown and Healthy, a global health and wellness initiative for people of color, the founder of Be Free Fridays, the longest running monthly open mic in Baltimore, and just an overall career creative.
Okay, so what led to the creation of Brown and Healthy?
So Brown and Healthy is really an extension of the community work and what I believe to be very deep-rooted health and wellness work. A lot of people may not think of it that way, but when you are providing platforms for people to speak and to create and to prepare for monthly and weekly, I also hosted Warm Wednesdays alongside the founder, Walter Maxfield Jones, for 4 years while hosting Be Free Fridays, and a couple of other venues as well in DC. I did Say Word Saturdays, which was the only open mic to ever happen in Mondawmin Mall for quite a while. And it's very much mental health and community. And I think that Brown and Healthy was just my way, and also just in my work. It's very confessional. It's very personal. A lot of times when, like, I was given the name Love in college by a friend of mine, because back then you had to have a stage name. That was very important at the time. So this is between 1999 and 2003. I graduated from Coppin State, then college, now university, in 2003. And I was given the name Love. And with that moniker, with that name, people always thought that I was just going to get up there and just do love poems. But I was actually adamantly against that kind of expression at the time. I wanted to talk about self-love and what I was going through and how to heal community and how to heal social justice issues and things like that. So with that, it was like in my performance art, it was a way for healing for not only myself, but for others. So I feel like Brown and Healthy, after a while, you can only do so much from a stage, right? Mm-hmm. You have to get in the work. In my career life, I worked with at-risk youth and special needs kids for 10 years after college. I have a degree in criminal justice, and I decided to work on the rehabilitative side with young people. And I did that for quite a while. And it grew, and I started doing arts administration, and I went on to be the director of community engagement at Impact Hub Baltimore just a few years ago. And so it all comes together when you're trying to take all the pieces that you are. So I explained those things that I've done over the years. I would say I probably had 3 or 4 different careers, including being a full-time artist for 7 years. So once you do that, and you're like, okay, I have done all of these things to help community, to help people individually and as a whole, how do you then take that and create a movement? Or how do you take that and really hone in on an issue? So Brown and Healthy started as a hashtag in like 2013. I was just hashtagging Brown and Healthy because I was trying to get my fit back on. I'm a former Division I track athlete. So I wanted to get right. And I was hashtagging and people were asking, like, what is that? And then in 2015, when it really became present that police were killing us, when all of those things started to happen, and it became loud to me that we needed an alternative to this thing. If we're at war, then we need to be ready for war, right? Mm-hmm. If the only narrative in Baltimore City, I went and I saw a Baltimore magazine on a shelf years ago. It was probably 2014, 2015. It was on a shelf in Silver Spring, Maryland. And I looked at it, and the only thing I saw in there of us, people of color, Black people, was the advertisements. We were not in the magazine. Baltimore City is 64% Black city, and it's thriving. And if the city is thriving and it's 64% Black, who is making it thrive? So that sparked something in me. And I was like, oh, our mission statement is change the narrative, change the world. Our narrative is screwed. Our narrative was screwed. It has since gotten better. Mm-hmm. I was able to start writing for Baltimore Magazine to put more Black voices in the magazine, through the Brown and Healthy umbrella, right? So it was, attacking the narrative and also saying, hey, how can we get our people fit? At one point, we were doing 20 plus fitness classes a month at different locations. We had memberships. We had people really getting active. And our caveat is we will teach people who are blue, but guess who's going to be standing in front of you? A person who is a Black person specifically, and or a person of color, but specifically Black people. We honed in on that. So because when you hashtag health and wellness and fitness back then, you didn't see many people who looked like us. And if you did, it was unattainable. So a couple of things. We're fixing the narrative of Baltimore because it was either The Wire or we're non-existent. There's no uplift, right? And so there's that. And then there was like, also, how can we physically affect the mental and physical well-being and emotional well-being of the people? We were doing Brown and Healthy speaker series talks, financial wellness, all of those things. And we still do that right now. We have a partnership with Kaiser where we're doing virtual fitness classes weekly and nutrition classes twice a month. So for free for anyone who wants to tune in. So we still have those kind of partnerships and stuff like that. But I know that was a lot. So that's how I got to Brown and Healthy. And that's what we're currently doing with Brown and Healthy. So yeah.
So I know with like things such as your brand, a lot of people tend to take like a negative side to it as well. So it's like your brand is about health and brown people like recognizing themselves and seeing the good qualities in themselves so they won't look down on themselves in the world. Did you get any like negative feedback from like just having the brand and pushing this narrative, and how did you handle that?
So what's great is, one, I am a militant human being. I've always been a militant human being. My nickname growing up, one of them was the Militant Midget. Thank you to my dad. May he rest in peace. So I'm glad you asked that question, because a part of me, and there was a whole nother concept I had, and it was not as light and it was not as proactive. It was highly reactive to what I have experienced through life, to what we have experienced through life. It would be effective, but it was not Brown and Healthy, right? So what I decided was, if I present this and someone has a negative vibe or a negative idea about it, then that is someone then I can see you. I can see you clearly, because how can you effectively say, turn your nose up or your back on the idea of brown and healthy, people who are brown and healthy, right? So that's, funders or critics or whatever. I actually haven't run into it, and because it'd be rather brazen to say that to me out loud. Like, that would be very interesting. You would show yourself, right? Because it's such a proactive and positive movement. Now, what I have experienced is people, and I talk about this in a book I wrote called Own Your Capacity. I've had people who say, when they see the Brown and Healthy t-shirts, they say, I'm brown, but I don't know if I'm healthy. And it's just they flip it into themselves. And I asked, one woman was a single mother. She had like 3 kids. She was working, she was paying her bills, she was making ends meet. And I proceeded to ask her, like, do you have kids? She told me what she did. And I said, you're brown and healthy. You're absolutely brown and healthy. You are motivated and you were surviving. There are different stages of what that means. So what I would say is, people take what they hear, like, or they take it on face value, and they say, oh, I'm not 120 pounds and rip, or whatever, I feel like I'm not physically into it. But then I start to explain all that it encompasses in community and what it means. And then they're like, oh, I do belong, right? And I start to explain the changes, the stages of change, and the things that you need to go through to get to a really beautiful and healthy mindset, and that we're all working on that every day. So, yeah.
All right. So, I'm gonna believe that Brown Healthy started in Baltimore, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know for a lot of artists here in Baltimore, They feel like they had to leave in order to like build that brand and become much bigger. Did you feel like you had to leave Baltimore to get Brown and Healthy where it's at now, or just feel like I just gotta go because the city just doesn't offer what I need?
So I love that you gave me two choices. I'm going to pick a third, because I lived in Baltimore from the time I was 18 to the time I was 38. I lived in Baltimore for 20 years. There is nothing more important to me. There's not another city that I love, right? I moved from Columbia, Maryland, or Howard County, Maryland, from Maryland my whole life. But I was 18 when I moved, and I grew up in Baltimore. I've lived there my entire adult life. I'm 40 now, and I moved, and I just turned that in January. I moved to California, September of 2019. So I have done all things through Baltimore and the Lord. Okay. So I am heavily attached to my city. I'm still doing things. Like I said, my partnership is with Kaiser in Baltimore. That's where that one is based. I moved here for a contract for Brown and Healthy. So I came here to expand, and exist bi-coastally. So no, Baltimore's home. This is a stepping stone to other things, but I live now in the Oakland area, California. It's beautiful. I'm so glad that I've gotten a chance to move out of Maryland. Like, I've never moved out of Maryland my whole life, right? So I'm loving the opportunity to get different vibes. I traveled. I was a touring artist. I traveled with a touring group called the Punani Poets, which it was on HBO's Real Sex in 2001. I was the longest running traveling member. Started in 2009, and is based in Oakland. So I first came to Oakland in 2009, and I fell in love with it. And every year we would tour, and I would have to come back. So I'm familiar with this area, it's a lot like Baltimore. There's a bridge here. And as a creative, let me say to you, if you haven't been here, come here. There's just this community, and people do that. People from Oakland go to Baltimore. It's a thing. So I say all that to say, I really love that question, because I don't want people to assume that I left Baltimore for greener pastures. I believe that Baltimore is a beautiful green landscape. I believe that as artists, no one comes out better. No one works harder. Femi the Dry Fish, a poet and performer, said once, he said, "We are creatively angry." And I believe that gives us a leg up in the world. Because anywhere I've gone and performed in the world, I've performed all over the world. People say, "I've never seen anything like what you do." And I've heard them say that to my friends, my peers. We go and we win championships. We do amazing things. And that goes back to why Brown and Healthy is so important, because our narrative needs to be heard, and it needs to be seen and respected that Baltimore City creates greatness. And beauty exists in every corner of the city. So no, I love my city. And Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, I'll be back in my city at some point in time.
Okay. All right, so when people go on your page, they can tell that you got flavor, you got style. I don't think nobody's outdressing you right now. If you were a stylist and you could pick 3 clients, who would be your first 3? Or if you could pick those 3 clients, who would be those 3?
3 clients, like people we know, or
it could be across the spectrum. Like, you got a client that's an NBA player, you got a client that's a rapper, you got a Baltimore client.
Oh.
Like, who would be your 3 clients?
Well, this is interesting. I've never thought about being a stylist before. What a question. Oh gosh, who would be my clients? Oh, this one's hard. I don't know. I think you stumped me. This is a first. I
Uh,
don't know. Give me more. Like, what do you mean? Like
all right,
that I can
so
just
yeah, you just like you be free with the style. Like you won't want to. I would say like give them a new look. Not to say that their look is like not the greatest look or like the best look that they have, but like you just coming in and you just giving them a new lay. Like boom, we about to do you like this, about to do you like
You
that.
know who I would have fun with, and this is a friend of mine.
Okay.
I think it would be fun to play dress up with DDM.
Okay.
Do you know DDM?
I'm gonna know them. I'm gonna know them today. As soon as we're done here.
His I believe his Instagram is Dapper Dan Midas. He also does the what is it called? The Secretary of Shade. He does it with it's very popular on YouTube. He's a rapper.
Okay.
He's amazing. He is fierce in all things. And I would love to play dress up with him. Him, another friend, Abdul Ali.
Okay.
Fun. I hear dress up style. I used to like having some fun with people. And who else would I like to do that with? I'm trying to think of a woman. Just pop. I don't know. I think those two come to my mind because they're just really fun guys. And I know, and I can't think of any women I know. My brother. I would love to style him for like maybe a couple photo shoots or something, and that would be Easy Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be fun.
All right. So I see you recently got married. Congrats on that. Which moment of the relationship was the one that made you the most nervous? When you asked your partner to be your partner exclusively, when you asked her would she marry you, or when you actually had to say I do?
Say the choices again.
All right. So the first choice was when you asked her, like, you know, you want to be my partner, you know what I'm saying, just to date exclusively, or when you had to ask for her hand in marriage, or when you was actually at the altar, like, you had to say I do.
Whew. Okay. So I don't know if we actually had a conversation about dating exclusively. I think the older you get, the less, in my experience, the less likely you are to be like, will you be my girlfriend? It seems to like kind of like evolve into a exclusive situation. I will say that we met in South Africa. I went on a trip with Brioxy, and the owners of Devco Cafe, Aisha and Cole. They put together annually a trip to South Africa. And I finally was like, I'm going. I've never been. I'm going to this thing. Something's going to happen. My life is going to change. And I just knew it. I knew my life was going to change. And I met her, and she's from Philly, but she owns homes and lived in Baltimore. And we'd never met. I'd never seen her. When I say that, that means something to me because I have seen everybody and I have been everywhere, and she had no idea who I was, which was amazingly wonderful. And that's not to toot my own horn, but when you do something for 20 years and you are on flyers and you're on news and all these different things regularly, it's very rare. You know, I would get in Ubers and people would start singing my music, and that was weird. So I didn't know her. And we connected. And so we connected in South Africa, December 2018. And I would say in February, I was heading to Miami for something. I think I just wanted to go. And she had a client there. And so we ended up going, went on a trip. And it was on that trip that, one, you got to see if you can travel with somebody. That's important for all you out there who want to know what you got to do. If you're a traveler, you got to see if you can travel with somebody. Because if you cannot, it will not work. So that was going well. And so there was a moment where I just was like, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm courting you.
Okay.
at the time I was, what was it, 2018? I was 37, about to turn 38, and I just had no more room for guessing, And when you're courting someone, you're dating with a purpose. You're saying, I plan to marry you. Like, this is not just us, seeing where the wind blows.
Yeah.
So that was a thing. So I wasn't nervous about that. It just felt right. And then when I asked her to marry me, we had already, of course, kind of, because I started with the courting thing, we had already started having these conversations probably a year in. And I think I was I had a trouble figuring out exactly where to do the ask.
Okay.
So this was New Year's 2019. Everything is New Year's for us because our first time seeing each other in South Africa was New Year's Eve. And so everything is New Year's for us. So when we went to the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco. And I had, we had this whole trip planned, and I bought the ring over Christmas. So I knew I was doing this, and I just didn't know how it was going to happen. So I took her to the MoMA, and we're walking around, and she's talking, and we're looking at her. The whole time I'm thinking, where am I going to ask this woman to marry me? I don't know where I'm going to do it. And so we go to this courtyard where there's like food or whatever, and we see this replica of the love statue from Philly. And I was like, boom, this is it. And it was just before 2 p.m., which is midnight South Africa time.
Okay.
And I wanted to do it at that time. So I asked the people, we were doing that whole thing where it's like, if I take your picture, will you take ours? Da, 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 da. So I asked them to do it. And then I went to go get the ring. I had sat my bag down. And she's like, come on, these people are waiting. Da, 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 da. I'm like, I'm coming. Hold on. It was getting stuck. So I pulled it out. She, I went over and she was like trying to get in the pose. And I just dropped to my knee.
Okay.
And I asked her there, and she lost it. The guy actually had the forethought to video it, which was beautiful. So we have a video of it. So that was the only nerve-wracking part about that. I would say, to answer your question straight up, I would say the day of the wedding, I was a nervous wreck. I just, it was like getting ready for the show of my life. And there was only 5 of us there, 3 people to help us set up stuff, and the officiant, who's a great friend, all was friends, family. And we had already planned to do this solo ceremony in South Africa, but because of COVID, we couldn't. And then we had already planned to have a bigger ceremony with friends and family later. So we're still going to do that once the world opens back up. But in this moment, I was, the scenery was gorgeous. I'm standing on the cliff looking over at this water. And I was like, I am sick nervous, like sick. Yeah. But when it all came together, it was magical. I couldn't wait to say I do. Okay. As soon as I turned around and saw her walking towards me, I couldn't wait to say I do. But beforehand, let me tell you. Woo, not to mention the night before was a doozy. So, you
got through it though.
You got to turn up. But that was the thing.
So before you perform your poems, how do you get in the mode? It's like, all right, I'm ready. Like I'm gonna go on, boom.
I went through phases.
Okay.
When I was younger, I'm Capricorn, so I was always hyper prepared, like almost too prepared, like. I would have to go outside and like run a poem. People knew when not to mess with me. Like I would ask the host to tell me when I was about to go up if I wasn't the feature. And I would go out and I would just like run a poem, very perfectionist. Like if it's a big feature or something like that and there's a back room, I'm doing push-ups. I'm trying to like get my mind right. Like kind of like the way I would prepare before a track meet. Before I would run like 100 or something like that. Just very like intense. And then I would just say a prayer. So at this point, when I perform, it's more relaxed. I would say I always say a prayer. I always breathe. always kind of meditate a little bit, and then I go.
Okay. All right. So you're in Oakland right now. You said Oakland is kind of like the bridge to Baltimore. What do you bring? What is that Baltimore thing you bring or you give to Oakland? So like they not mistaken that you from Oakland. No, you live there, but they like, she Baltimore. There we go.
Well, the fact that I say do, my accent that I picked up along the way is a tell. But also I think that it is just a very focused, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very focused intention to fuck it up. You know what I mean? Like, like I'm coming in here, but when I walk in here, my aura says, I'm gonna fuck it up. I also keep a Baltimore versus y'all whores sticker on my laptop, so if I'm going to work.
Okay.
Now, this is DJ Harvey Dent's brand. He's the DJ for Be Free Fridays and a longtime friend of mine. He did Say Where Saturdays. I don't really do anything without Harvey. And when he came out with Baltimore versus y'all whores, it was lit.
Yeah.
So I make it a point to do that. Now I have the hoodie. I do. However, I don't really wear it out because I feel like some people might get offended, not quite understand that I'm not calling them that in real life.
Yeah.
But so I take brands with me. This is Nobody's Normal. This is Vintage Fuck. Misery. Eat the Cake Band. It used to be Misery Loves Company. Miz. Longtime friend of mine, met her in college. So I try to rock my people's stuff, and I bring that, I'm coming through to do this thing. And there's always something about, like, I don't want to be mistaken as a native person from Oakland. Mm-hmm. Right? I want them to, like I said earlier, I feel like, and this is important. And also when our people leave Baltimore, we can't get offended so quickly, right? We can't get offended because how will people know if we don't go? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I know us. We want to hold fast. We want to stay in the Baltimore. We want to stay down. You know what I mean? Not down like down, but down like I'm down with my city, right? I want to be, but when carry it on your back like a knapsack. Take it with you, and let people know where you're from. It's important.
Yeah, it is. Definitely is. All right. I got one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a few things you do to decompress, because you're running this brand. You are also a poet. You are a fashion icon. You know what I'm saying? You are in a healthy relationship. Like, those are a lot of things. But, we all, as people, we gotta take time to, like, decompress from, like, them all. And they all may be good all at one time, but it's also, like, just need time to relax. How do you do that?
Well, I go to the gym. For that reason, first and foremost, which a lot of people don't think about. But it is an outlet for me. It is a way for me to put my phone down and get into my body for a certain amount of time, because all the work is on these computers and on this little small computer we put in our pocket. It's all the time. It's so accessible, right? So to be able to do that and to just decompress and just take my time, I'm so glad the gyms are back open out here, because, we live right a block from the beach. So there's a beach in the Oakland area. We're in the Alameda, California.
Oh, okay.
It's like a little man-made joint, but it's lovely, and we're right there. And so, but I like to go in the gym, but when I can't, I'll go out there. So that's really important. I love to sit on the sofa with my wife and binge watch Netflix. and or Hulu and or Disney Plus. I have a deep love for Marvel and Marvel movies, so I will watch them over and over again. Very thrilled about the new series coming out. The Falcon Winter Soldier. Just watch WandaVision. If you haven't, get into it. You're missing a lot.
Into it. I'm down with the Marvel, so I'm down.
Yeah, if you haven't watched WandaVision, though, you need to, because it bridges a lot of things you need to see. So check that out. And I love to like look over and see her doing her digital art. She's an interior designer, and she works at a Black-owned firm out here, and she is like this amazing artist. As a matter of fact, this backdrop is her work. So while I'm watching whatever I'm watching and she's watching, she's over there doing on her iPad some digital artwork. So I love that, and we go hiking. It's a lot of nice hiking places out here. I would say that COVID has been a bear. COVID has been very intense. My father died of COVID, December 2020.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's still, fresh. Could have been avoided. It's been a year, and I like to say that for my mental health and for my relaxation and for where I am today, I'm glad to have been here in this area by this water with these palm trees, because Lord knows, only knows, because this is like vacation vibes, even though I live here. So just being in places, I think that we need, as Black people, we definitely also need to understand that like our location can be oppressive. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's too damn cold. Maybe maybe like look and see what you like. Maybe you like the cold, live there. If you like the hot, don't live there. Like do things like, that make you feel good. Tap into the things you like to do as a child. I love to play basketball. I do that. We lose sight of those things. And those things are hella important to our peace, is to like tap back into the things that make you feel good and actually do them, because there are no rules that say you can't.
Okay. Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. This is great. And I learned something new from you today. You want to know what it is?
What was that?
That I'm a fashion icon.
Yeah. So I just, listen, I'm not into like real fashion, I would say, because I don't really be trying to like figure out how to put pieces together. But I feel like it don't matter when I see you on your page, like in every setting you like, it's a fit. And I'm just like, well, now I need to figure out how to get some of these pieces in the closet right now.